Hi you, King here, and this video will be about the new Earth avatar that's going to be the main protagonist of the new Avatar series, Avatar 7 Havens, coming soon. Now before we start, I would like you to take these theories with a grain of salt as they are based off of the leaked details and images that have yet to truly be confirmed because we don't know if the Avatar Studios creators will change things around before the actual show comes out. But still, I feel it's something that needs to be shown and made to get Avatar fans excited while we're in this hiatus of no Avatar content. So if you can take just one moment to press that like button, comment down your thoughts and theories on what the new Avatar series could present, and ring that notification bell so you know first when Avatar content like this drops. I would be very appreciative of that. And without further ado, let's get into it with the new Earth avatar, Pavi. Pavi, as said by the leaks, will be a little orphan girl who will be missing a leg. She, as said by the leaks, will have a twin named Nisha, who will be raised and trained by the White Lotus as they believe she is the new Earth avatar. Which, as the leaks say, Nisha and Pavi both are, which alludes to either Pavi being the one with Wava inside of her and Nisha being the one with Vatu inside of her, possibly making her the Dark Avatar. And one of the members of the White Lotus, possibly being an Airbender J, will be one of the first of many of Pavi's Team Avatar companions, journeying with her to save the Seven Havens. But many Avatar fans have doubts on whether she can actually do this based off the images of her being a little girl missing a leg. But to that I say, you really doubt how powerful the Avatar state can make a person. Because the Avatar state is basically akin to a bender going Super Saiyan, boosting their bending abilities to their zenith. And the fact that we have Nisha, who could possibly be the Dark Avatar counterpart to Pavi, just kind of clues you into how powerful Pavi's gonna be. I mean, I'm one to believe that with each new avatar becomes a new step up, especially thanks to the avatar cycle, passing down wisdom and experience. It allows each new avatar to more easily be able to get stronger much quicker. So I feel, even though, yeah, Korra kind of messed up the avatar cycle, rebooting it and having her be the only avatar that the new avatar Pavi will be able to communicate with, it still, will be a lot more than nothing, especially because Korra was a powerful avatar. And yeah, even without aid, let me still glaze up the avatar state, because that is an OP ability to have. Being able to boost up every single one of your bending abilities, regardless of how much of an amateur bender you is. Even Aang, who was a pacifist monk in the avatar state, was like a living nuke. Being able to whoop Ozai to the point of instilling the fear of God into him. He was just lucky Aang stayed true to his morals and instead of killing him, used energy bending to just take away his bending, which is another thing that the new avatar Pavi could get, because Aang, before the avatar cycle got rebooted, passed on the knowledge to Korra, so Korra could pass on the knowledge to Pavi. And Pavi, yes, is a little girl, but don't you forget, Roku was an old man when he passed away, and right before doing so, he fought against an active erupting volcano, which he was able to hold his own against thanks to the avatar state. So this got me thinking, regardless of Pavi being a little girl or not having a leg or coming across most types of threats, as long as it's not too powerful or an abundant of a threat, as long as she's able to go into the avatar state, she has a fair good chance of either beating or at the very least surviving it. I mean, let me remind you, if there's still doubters listening to this, that Avatar Kyoshi was able to move an entire island thanks to being in the Avatar state. That's just how powerful of a power boost it is. And I know there are Avatar fans who have their theories and thoughts of there being a time skip based off of the leaks of Pavi, believing that she's too young to deal with the types of threats that she'll be facing in this new series. Thinking that in between season 1 and season 2, there will be a time skip to make her either more of a teenager or an adult, like adult Aang. But I feel like she'll stay the same age, maybe for both seasons, and my theory as to why is because she doesn't need to grow up to be able to face bigger threats. If her avatar cycle starts with Korra, then Korra can at least teach her that powerful ability she gained in her era, where she utilized energy bending to create a giant astral projection form of herself to fight against the giant dark avatar spirit fusion of Unalaq and Vaatu. And I know what Avatar fans will say, that that was a one-time thing, but who knows? Maybe Pavi will gain energy bending training from Korra and gain enough power to use that giant astral projection form on more than just one occasion. Which I feel is something she'll need more than ever in this new era, where I believe there will still be mechs, and especially giant mechs, that will make, non-benders still a credible threat. And that in these new havens, especially maybe the Metal Haven, which look out for that video, part of my Avatar 7 Haven video series, will have more than one Colossus, which was the name of that giant mech in Legend of Korra. For which Pavi will definitely need a huge power boost to fight against those. And before I forget, right by her side, Jay, the White Lotus member, whom possibly will be like an older brother type to her, and a possible airbender, I believe that he will be descendant of the people who got their airbending thanks to harmonic convergence. Basically reviving the air nomads and putting the four nations back into balance. But I believe that from that there will be a bit of internal conflict thanks to that, as the descendants of Aang, bloodline of the OG airbenders, will kind of feel superior to all those airbenders made thanks to the harmonic convergence, not seeing them as true airbenders. And before you say it, I know a lot of Aang fans will see that as blasphemy, not being able to see any of Aang's descendants being that ignorant or, callous to other people. But people are people. Some people are naturally inclined to be nice and others are not. So I could see Jay as always wanting to prove himself because of this internal prejudice between the airbenders, which would have made him become one of the best airbenders. And I could see him with his journeys with Pavi becoming a cool older brother type, as well as mentor and master, teaching her the ways of airbending. Kind of having his personality be like that of Kakashi, like a really cool teacher. And it could play for a fun dynamic between Pavi and Jay if they butt heads a lot, because Jay is the more experienced one, knowing how the world works with these new Seven Havens, and Pavi is more hopeful, optimistic, believing that she can, truly save the world and make up for whatever Korra did to, create this cataclysm that destroyed the four nations and put these Seven Havens in their place. And I could see maybe Jay going down an arc where he abandons everything, even Pavi, and this grants him the ability to fly like Zahir, making him the third airbender in history to ever unlock the super rare ability of flight. But then he quickly realizes that he doesn't want to abandon Pavi, that he always wants to be there for her, to protect her and support her, which makes him lose the ability to fly, but still makes him that much loved in the eyes of Avatar fans. Again, all of these are just theories that I feel would be cool for the new Avatar series to explore, and will show why Pavi is no slouch even if she's a little girl with one leg. Hi you, King here, and this is a theory video about how the new Avatar sequel that's coming out next year is going to be getting rid of the four nations that we have known for so long and have grown to love so much, with 7 havens, thanks to a cataclysmic event caused by good old troublemaking Korra. And the theory that I thought of is about what those 7 havens could be in contrast to the 4 nations. Like, the 4 nations were obviously based around the 4 types of benders and the 4 elements: air, water, earth, and fire. Like, I'm thinking with this being a cataclysmic event that tore up the different countries' landscapes to basically obliterate the 4 nations, that it must have been some type of global earthquake situation. And the nation that is most adept to deal with a disaster on that level would have to be the Earth nation. But I'm still thinking that there would have been massive amount of, casualties and survivors. But I feel like the most of those survivors would have to have come from the Earth nation. So that these 7 havens to, I guess, protect from like the outside world that's now become even more wild and dangerous would probably be set up by remnants of the Earth nation. And I'm thinking that the reason that there's 7 is because it would be like 7 different groups of 7 different types of earth bending settlements. Like, in each haven they have like a different type of earthbender that is the majority of said haven. So like, for example, we know about the standard earthbenders, but as the series went on, there became different types of earthbenders through the sub-bending elements of earth, such as metal bending, lava bending, and there's a whole bunch of different types of earth bending, sub-bending, because there's a lot of stuff that's made up of earth for earthbenders to bend. So yeah, I could see one haven being a majority of earthbenders, like standard earthbenders, while I could see a second haven being a majority of lava benders governing it, and maybe the haven's placed right next to an active volcano, to kind of strengthen their lava bending potential and powers. I could see a third haven being in a desert and having it being mostly populated by sandbenders. I could see a fourth haven being like Jiaofu, like a big metal city, but on a more massive scale. And of course, it's governed by metal benders. And I could see for a fifth haven, it being mainly underground and governed by crystal benders, that they use the creeping crystals as a both defensive and offensive mechanism against outsiders, and keeping the whole haven underground makes it like a good hiding spot from people being able to easily find it. I could see for a sixth haven, and this is where things start to get even more interesting. From the novels, it showed Avatar Kyoshi was one of the first few, if not the very first, earthbender to be able to glass bend. So I could see, a city made out of glass the way Jiaofu's made out of metal, and it's primarily populated and governed by glass benders. And for a seventh haven, and this hasn't been explored before, and this could be a new sub-bending type that they introduce into Avatar, because it is possible. I could see a seventh haven being mainly populated and governed by bone benders, which would be like the most dangerous haven to either attack or be attacked by, because just like if there was a city full of bloodbenders, there'd be little that you could do against them. And maybe their entire fields of this haven is like a graveyard, and it's filled with the bones of just not like different types of people, but also different types of creatures of the Avatar world, like the skeleton of like a dead sky bison, or a skeleton of a badger mole, or even the skeleton of a dragon, and they're able to just bone bend it out of the ground to attack any would-be invader. Either way, this is primarily where I'm thinking they're going with the idea of 7 havens instead of 4 nations. Like, instead of the 4 bending elements that the 4 nations were based off of, they're gonna primarily go off of all the sub-bending elements of Earth. And it's probably gonna make it so that this new Avatar series better fits the new earthbending avatar that we're going to be getting. Especially because I have like another theory video coming up about the whole twin avatar thing and how one of them is going to be the embodiment of Vaatu, the avatar for Vaatu being the dark avatar, and how that would pretty much make them like an average avatar with, if they are also an earthbender, if they become like a dark avatar, boosting all of their earthbending abilities, and with all the sub-elements of earthbending, well, that pretty much will give them more than just one or two things that they can do against the normal avatar. So look out for that theory video, and tell me in the comments below if you enjoyed this theory video. If you think I'm right, please, take a moment and press that like button, as well as ring that notification bell so you know first when the second Avatar theory video that I'm making drops. Hi you, King here, and today we'll be talking about the 7 Havens, episode 1, the Lava Haven. But before we start, I just want to explain that this is a video series that I'm going to be doing about each of the 7 Havens, basically theorizing on what they'll be like. And because they were formed after a worldwide cataclysm, I believe that the global disaster had to be earthquake related. And who's the most likely to survive an earthquake? Earthbenders. And they wouldn't just survive, but thrive. That's why I believe that benders who were lucky enough to survive the cataclysm that was in earthbenders would flock to these different havens that were set up by different types of earthbenders. And because I want to start it off hot, I'm starting with the lava haven that's primarily made up of lava benders. But again, before we get started, I would very much appreciate it if you could just take a moment to hit that like button, as it helps with the YouTube algorithm. Comment down below your thoughts and theories on the new Avatar series coming up, Avatar the 7 Havens, and ring that notification bell if you're an Avatar fan so you know first when Avatar content like this drops. But without further ado, let's get started. With first up, the environment. I believe the settlement for the Lava Haven would be placed right next to active volcanoes, with the founders of this haven primarily being made up of lava benders, fire benders, and combustion benders, all who would primarily benefit from being near an intensely hot environment, with everyone else in the haven being non-benders, of course, but being primarily made up of people who survived from the Fire Nation and the Earth Kingdom. And I would figure that there would be fewer lava benders and combustion benders than there would be fire benders in that haven, especially because those two sub-bending are already super rare and unique within the fire and earth bending type. But because of how powerful those two sub-bending types are, regardless of that fact, you would still have the abundance of firebenders following the orders of the combustion benders and lava benders, especially because the lava benders are primarily responsible for not just making the haven, but founding it as well. As for how this haven could interact with the other havens, I believe they would all have somewhat of a symbiotic relationship with one another, being, separated in different parts of the world, but still being able to interact with one another through being of use to each other. Specifically for this video, I could see the Lava Haven having a heat forge that they use to forge materials and weaponry that they can then ship off to the other havens for them to use for a wide range of purposes, such as for their architecture, buildings, for military purposes, and even for their daily lives, like kitchen utensils or bikes or whatever. Basically, like having the Lava Haven be an entire city of blacksmiths. As for how their government could run in the Lava Haven, I could see non-benders primarily being either shippers, which is a title I came up for people who brace the elements outside of the havens to ship goods and products to each of the havens, or specifically for the Lava Haven, blacksmiths, going into creating materials to be shipped off to each of the other havens. And I could see firebenders as basically being police officers for the Lava Haven, as they would be in charge of keeping the peace while enforcing the laws of the Lava Haven, since there are so many of them. As for the combustion benders, I could see them not only being the gate guards for this haven, blowing up anyone that isn't given an invitation to come to the Lava Haven, but I could also see them being the head collectors for materials for the heat forge, since they'll be able to use their combustion bending to blow up rocks and earth to have the non-benders collect the materials from them. As for the lava benders, I could see them not just being in charge of the entire lava haven, but also being the ones that mainly power the heat forge and is responsible for keeping it running, since they can turn ordinary earth into lava and vice versa as instantly as a person can blink. And I could also see them being responsible for making sure that the active volcanoes that the settlement of the lava haven is next to stays active, while also making sure it doesn't erupt and basically Pompeii's everyone in the haven. And yeah, I mean, the lava haven being, made and founded by the lava benders, but primarily having firebenders just makes a lot of sense to me, because firebenders draw their powers from heat, so they're naturally inclined to migrate to areas that can produce a lot of heat, which is why the Fire Nation on the Fire Islands is primarily made up of volcanoes. It's because it's just giving them a natural boost in power. And yeah, through this system, you could even have some political dramas where maybe in episode or two, we could have some firebenders want to rebel against the lava benders and take control over the lava haven, believing that they should be on top since there's more of them. And this could be a problem that the new Avatar would have to help with to prove that she isn't a nuisance or a destroyer, but a savior and the one to keep the balance and make sure that the lava haven, doesn't end up destroying itself.
Hi, King here, and today we'll be talking about Avatar: The Seven Havens, Episode 2, The Glass Haven. But before we can continue, let me remind you, for anyone new, that this is a video series of me breaking down what I believe will be the 7 havens for the new Avatar series, Avatar: The Seven Havens. Because I have a theory, because I am the king of theories, that each of the 7 havens will be based around a specific type of earthbending, because the cataclysm that the creators of Avatar has confirmed will be the reason for the existence of these 7 havens will be earthquake related. And just how a firebender becomes very powerful during a hot sunny day, and a waterbender becomes powerful during the full moon or on a rainy day, and an airbender can get a superpower boost during a natural hurricane, same thing goes with earthbenders during a natural earthquake. And if this cataclysmic event was like a global earthquake, shifting things around, destroying the 4 nations to have them be replaced by these 7 havens, then I believe that the ones who would be the reason for a lot of people surviving this cataclysm would be earthbenders using each of their unique type of earthbending or earth subbending abilities. Just like how I explained in episode 1, the lava haven. Now, just like the previous episode, let's start off with the environment. And the environment for the Glass Haven will be primarily desert-based, that they will be located directly in the desert, but will be closer towards the edge of it. And I believe that the Glass Haven will be primarily comprised of firebenders, waterbenders, and sandbenders, and a bunch of non-benders, of course. And that I feel that glass bending for glass benders will be developed like much later on in the existence of this haven. Like the firebenders, waterbenders, and sandbenders all came together to, save themselves from the cataclysm, settling in the desert, and the waterbenders would use their abilities to find water, the firebenders would use their abilities to fight against, hostile predators that would be attacking the haven, and the sandbenders would use their ability to traverse the haven to be able to go to other havens and get, necessary materials and resources to bring back to their haven. Because just in case you didn't know, here's a little science 101 for you. Fire, water, and sand can create glass. If you superheat sand and then quickly cool it down, you can create glass material. And while the sand is superheated, you can morph it into different shapes and forms before cooling it down to create like a glass jar or a glass plane or, just any type of glass form. And I think it'd be awesome because sand bending is the subbending of earth bending, so glass bending could be the subbending of sand bending. And Kyoshi was the very first and maybe only glass bender, so it'd be our first introduction to glass bending in the animated series. And it would just be awesome to have a haven primarily comprised of, different types of benders like fire, water, and sand, and that be the birth of glass benders. Because the way metal benders bend the earth within metal, glass benders can bend the sand within glass. And through that, we could have an entire city in the desert made of glass, and it could just be called like the glass heart of the desert. like the metal city Zaofu from Legends of Korra, but you know, made of glass. And while we're introducing a new type of bending in this haven, here's another. We could have the firebenders of the glass haven develop the sub-bending of light bending. Because light is a form of energy made from photon particles and plasma, and the way firebenders can generate both heat, flames, and lightning, I believe they can also do so with pure light. But not just generate it, bend it, allowing them to manipulate fields of light to have a variety of effects on people, such as creating mirages to trick people's eyesight to make them see illusions, or bending the visual spectrum to make themselves and others around them invisible, transparent. Heck, they could even focus the light into a beam and increase the heat from it to practically shoot lasers from their hands, making light bending be even more powerful than combustion bending, and something that I feel they could truly monopolize in a city made up of glass. Especially because the creators of Avatar said they would like the new era of Avatar to take place in a cyberpunky setting. I believe because of this cataclysm, not every haven is going to be futuristic or have advanced technology, but some will. And I believe the Glass Haven will be one of the havens that will be a futuristic city, especially if they have light benders and glass benders. Because firebenders can already generate electricity via shooting lightning from their fingertips. So imagine by getting resources from the other havens and building generators and having the firebenders power those generators by shooting lightning at them, that they create a very futuristic city, especially if they have light benders, develop technology that works the way their bending works, allowing them to basically project holograms throughout the city via the many glasses that basically make up the city. The glass walls, the glass ceilings, the glass floors, the glass buildings, all go towards entertainment, advertisements, or political agendas, just like how the real world began to work after the development of the internet and smartphones. As for how they would interact with other havens, I could see the Glass Haven being more secluded to themselves, as they would have deals with other havens that could afford to purchase hologram technology from them, as well as a bunch of their glass materials, objects, and items. But for the havens that couldn't afford to buy from them or would be envious of them to have, aggressive altercations with them, they would try to distance themselves from, heck, even distancing themselves from the Sand Haven that they share an entire desert with. I could really see the Glass Haven being a neutral haven that tries to keep to themselves, but still at the end of the day be a futuristic city that doesn't need to rely on any other haven because of 1, their abundance in diverse unique vendors, 2, their abundance in advanced technology, and 3, their abundance in resources and job classes. I'm talking to work such as chefs, hunters, shop owners, architects, glass makers, shippers, the people who deliver items in between the havens. Just the possibility is limitless for living in the Glass Haven, so it could be one of the most advanced cities in this new Avatar era. But I digress. Tell me your thoughts about the Glass Haven in the comment section below, what you would like to hear more of. And ring that notification bell so you know first when episode 3 of this Avatar 7 Haven video series drops. Press that like button, as it really does help with me making more videos like this, as it shows that you enjoy these Avatar videos and that you would like me to make more. And until the next Avatar 7 Haven videos, please like, share, subscribe, and follow on all platforms, including my TikTok, King of Theories, and my Instagram, King of Theories. And yeah, until the next video, stay great.